In this video, I will share my experience with you on how to make $500 a day. It's a fairly straightforward path, but it still requires you to invest your time, effort, and most importantly, knowledge. It's not exactly super easy, but anyone can still replicate it. So let's break down what you need for this, what knowledge is required, and which currency pairs might be worth using. And of course, what starting capital you might need in order to actually reach this amount. So let's get started. The very first thing you need to know is that $500 a day is just 5 trades of $100 each. And for that, you need at least $100 in capital, but in that case, we're taking a pretty big risk. Accordingly, to reach that kind of figure, you need a working balance of at least $2,000. This is so you understand what amount you need to start with. If you have $2,000, then it won't be difficult for you to make $300, $400, or even $500 a day. If you have a balance of $5,000, for example, or even $10,000, then we can talk about making $1,000 a day. And you don't need any extraordinary knowledge for this. We can, for example, use the same booster bot and just get signals from it. Let's even look at an example. Let's pick any currency pair. Let it be the British pound to the dollar. And now I want to open my trade for $100. I select this currency pair and set the trade time to 1 minute. And I receive a sell signal. Accordingly, I immediately open my $100 sell trade right here. You need to understand that the same $500 a day is either 5 profitable trades of $100 each or 10 profitable trades of $50 each. As you can see, that's a pretty impressive statistic. And to achieve such statistics, we need a strategy. Moreover, a strategy that will allow us to work successfully in at least 80% of cases. What does that mean? We have a strategy. For example, let's say we're simply trading with the trend. That is, we choose a trending movement, and during corrections, when the price moves in the opposite direction, we open trades, just like right now. And at best, as I mentioned, this will be a strategy that gives us a profit in 80% of cases, but we still have 20% that result in a loss. Just like in this situation, some sudden financial news comes out and as a result, ruins everything for us. And literally at that very moment, the price moves in the desired direction. In other words, I chose the wrong entry point. So, in addition to a strategy, we also need entry points. That's already 2 factors. If we add our overall balance, then that's already 3 factors. And accordingly, for the next trade, I either need to open it for the same $100 or at least cover my loss with $150. So we understand that we really need a working balance of about $2,000. By the way, take a look. The price really is moving in the right direction. It's just that I chose the wrong entry point. And the signal from the booster bot was actually very good, a sell signal. And indeed, the price made that impulse move. So first, the entry point. Second, a working strategy. Third, your risk management or your overall balance. These are at least 3 factors needed to make $500 a day. Let's cover the loss now with another currency pair. The next currency pair I choose is the US dollar to Japanese yen. Everything is exactly the same 1 minute per trade and $150 to cover my loss. I select a 1 minute time frame and wait. And I get a buy signal. Right from here I open a buy trade. There's a good upward movement here. And now let's talk about the 4th factor. We've figured out that the amount matters to us, the strategy matters, but the starting capital is also important. But now let's talk about trades in order to identify some kind of pattern. For example, you open 3 trades a day. Accordingly, you can actually make $500 by opening just 3 trades. But in that case, each of your trades should be opened for at least $150 or even $200. Only then will you be able to earn a decent income. But again, what are the chances that one day you'll have 3 winning trades and the next day you have 3 losing trades? So here you made $500 and here you made minus $500. This is me, for example. In other words, you won't be able to gather any meaningful statistics that way. Now we understand that we need to open more trades. For example, let's say that's 10 trades, so 10 trades at $50 each, then we reach 500. But that's assuming our statistics are 100%. If we take a success rate of 80%, which is about the average for our users, then we need to open at least 13 trades. Accordingly, the most optimal option is to open between 10, as I mentioned, and 30 trades. That way we can walk with confidence. If we apply these percentages and this number of trades, we end up with an average of 15 trades at $50 each. That's when we can work confidently and earn money. At that point, we have both the statistics and the experience, but that's with 80% profitable trades. Therefore, in order to reach this amount, we need a good starting capital to cover the losing days, which will definitely happen, and we need the right number of trades. After that, it all comes down to your strategy, and you need to practice, and practice again. For example, I'll take a risk and open the next trade for $200 on another currency pair. The next currency pair I choose is Euro Swiss franc. I select it in the booster bot and set the trade duration to 1 minute, and I receive a sell signal. Right from here, I open my sell trade. By the way, while we are waiting for this trade, and before I move on to the next very important point, I want to remind you that BoosterBot is available to all our subscribers. All you need to do is follow the link in the description, activate this robot, and start earning with it today. Yes, you need to understand that you'll still have to find entry points, identify the best currency pairs, and keep track of the timing, knowing when it's better to trade and when it's better to skip trading altogether. People who follow these tips achieve almost 90% profitable trades with this robot. If you're just a beginner and don't know how to choose currency pairs or which entry points are best to use, then you can expect a success rate of about 70% profitable trades, which I still think is pretty good. Activate this bot right now. If you have any questions, then check out our YouTube channel or our Telegram channel, where we've posted even more guides and manuals on how to work with this robot. I'll leave a link to the Telegram channel in the description, and to BoosterBot as well, of course. As you can see, this trade is bringing me a profit. And now we can talk about the final part, practice. We've established that what matters to us is the entry point, the amount we're working with, the number of trades we open per day, and of course our working capital. Obviously, if you only have $20 or $50 and you want to reach that kind of amount, you'll have to go through a long journey first. For example, from $10 to $50, then from $50 to $100, and so on, until you eventually reach 500. This long journey is definitely possible, but the easiest way is to find some balance somewhere. Because there's this myth that you can start trading now with as little as $10. You can, but it's very inefficient and it's a very long road. It's always better to start with a solid initial capital. Even if you don't use all of it, for example, if you deposit $2,000, you can trade with $50 or $100 and the rest just stays as your reserve. That's your safety net. So we've discussed these points, and now we can move on to the very last and most important one. I'm choosing the EUR USD currency pair and will open my trade for $500 because I can afford it and I've already earned that amount today. I go to BoosterBot, select this EUR USD currency pair and set the trade duration to 1 minute. And I get a sell signal. I open a sell trade right from here. It's a good entry point, a strong downward movement, and this trade should bring me a profit. And the most important thing in this whole concept is that if you want to make trading your main source of income and earn $500 or even $1,000 a day from it, you need to stick to one thing. You need consistency, you need practice, and you need to keep practicing constantly. Trading does not favor inconsistent people. All business people know that if you keep hitting the same spot, eventually you'll achieve something. It's exactly the same in trading. You might have ups and downs, you might have setbacks, but if you consistently open 10 trades a day, if you keep practicing, and most importantly don't give in to your emotions, then you will truly succeed. And any failure or any loss is just a matter of time or an indicator that you're doing something wrong. For example, I'm experiencing another loss right now. Accordingly, there's no need for me to get upset about it. I just need to cover the next trade, and this time with $1,000. This is what I was talking about regarding a working deposit, but you shouldn't get carried away here either, as it's easy to get caught up in the excitement. Now let's talk about emotions. I'm choosing currency pair British pound Canadian dollar, $1,000 on the balance for a single trade, and I'm waiting for a signal. I receive a sell signal. Now I'm waiting for an entry point so I don't make any mistakes, and on the new candle I open a sell trade. What did I just do? I waited for the price to consolidate within this range so that I could enter with the trend. In other words, I waited for an entry point this time, and now I feel confident about this trade. The previous trade I opened almost immediately. So regarding emotions, if you give in to your emotions, then you can no longer control your actions or your trading. That's why you need to avoid giving in to emotions and always keep a cool head. When you clearly understand what you're doing, how many trades you open per day, you have cold, precise statistics without emotions. And accordingly, from these statistics, you can determine, for example, that your strategy doesn't yield 70% but 60%. So that means you're doing something wrong. And here, you should pay attention to the time when you trade, which currency pairs you use, the duration of your trades in short, all the little details. We cover all of this in our Telegram channel, so go there right now to learn even more about all these details, because they are very important in trade. As you can see, when you keep your emotions calm, you immediately cover your losses and don't panic about it. If you give in to your emotions, you start making trades emotionally, you start mixing up strategies, and as a result, you end up doing something wrong. And that leads you to losses. So we don't need losses, which means we shouldn't give in to our emotions. In general, I'll leave all the useful links in the description. As you can see, this is quite an interesting path that anyone can follow. At the very least, we see plenty of examples of people who, even starting with $200 or $300, achieve these kinds of results and in just 1 month reach $500 or even $1,000 a day. It all comes down to practice, motivation, and your available free time. In general, I'll leave all the useful links in the description. See you soon.